Ready to hit the pause button on your parenting fails? Ready to feel better about your parenting? Welcome to Parenting Pause, the podcast, where all of you is welcome. I'm Leslie Potter, the founder of the Pure Joy Way, a mother, a parent coach, and a fellow traveler on this journey to wake up in our parenting. And I believe together we can make this a better world for ourselves and our kiddos. This week, I've been thinking a lot about tenderness and how delicate and exquisite our vulnerability is, and the parts of ourself that we had to, as children, kind of hide away because they were so tender and delicate. You know, children are so out there and messy, but they're also very tender and very delicate, right? Because they're like little tiny shoots. You want to think about in the garden when you're gardening and you plant the little seedlings. They're very delicate and they require very tender treatment until they get a little hardy, of course, over time. And with the weather, we harden them off and they get hardy and they begin to grow. But this week I wanted to talk about how we can treat ourselves tenderly, right? I was walking out on my porch and I had some little plants there that I had watered early in the morning, but even by the afternoon, they were kind of shrunken. And I just poured just a little bit of water in them, just a touch. And all of a sudden, they just brightened up, right? They stopped drooping and they came back to life. So I started thinking about myself and thinking about you and even our children of how just a little water can just brighten us back up. And I mean by water, I use that kind of a metaphor of water, but that could be anything, little drinks throughout your day of little breaks that you might take, actually pausing for a moment just to take a breath, putting your hand on your heart, treating yourself kindly, actually taking a little drink of water. Right? We forget, I think. We get so going and we get so into our task and all the needs that are being asked of us. Everybody's, wanting something, needing something. And we forget that self-care and self-love doesn't have to be this huge thing, right? It can be tiny. It can be little. It can be little moments where we just practice throughout the day, reminding ourselves and our little ones to just pause and offer ourselves kindness. So 5 seconds. You want to practice today, just like I did with my little plant. I just poured a little bit of water. And as I did, the plant began to know that it could go through times where it didn't have very much water, but then it got water, just like us. We can go through those times. It builds that resiliency, right? Where we don't get as much of the nourishment maybe that we need. But if we do it a little bit at a time, we begin to grow our capacity not to get to that end point. When the plant goes past a certain point, it gets too wilted. We can't get it back. And that's what I always found for me. If I didn't, if I just go and go and go, and we have a tendency to do that as parents. We can push and push and push and push. And yeah, okay, you can, but I'm supporting you in trying something gentler. Like throughout your day, you might even put like a little timer on your phone, just once an hour, just to pause and take a drink of glass or a little sip of water or a little sip of love. And then at the same time, you can offer that to your sweet children, right? Just a little bit every hour, just a pause where you can turn toward them with a loving gaze, or just remind them for a moment. It could be a moment. I know Thich Nhat Hanh always has this where you take a moment, and I think he rings a little bell. I think when I went to a retreat once, they rang a bell, and it was just a moment to be mindful and to come back into that deep self-loving and to attend to our tenderness. Now, that just doesn't mean that we're not strong and we're not hardy and we're not, go out there and take care of everything. But this week, let's just take that time to also attend to the tender heart of ourselves and of our children. So when that vulnerability gets activated in our parenting, and it will, that we know how to treat it. We know deeply how to go inside and offer it the sweetest, sweetest care. Thank you for listening to this episode of Parenting Paused. If you enjoyed the episode, do me a favor and share it with your mama friends. You can also leave a review wherever you listen, which will support getting the Pure Joy message out. Come on over to the Pure Joy Parenting Practice Facebook page or join me on Instagram to hear more. And don't forget to download your free copy of the Safe Seat course on the Pure Joy website. And while there, check out the offerings page to go deeper in the Pure Joy work.